A step parenting expert, Chris Burns.
Women's mindset coach and stepmom, Chris Burns.
Welcome to the Step Parent Podcast. Hello and welcome back to Step Parent Podcast. My name is Chris Burns and I am your host. I would just like to say a huge thank you. If you are a long-time listener, thank you so much for being here. I'm so grateful to have you back every single week and to be in your ears, giving you support, guidance, and honest conversations throughout your step parenting journey. If you are a new listener, hello and welcome. I am really honored that you are choosing to do something different and learn something new in your blended family and step parenting experience. In this space, you can expect honest conversations, practical tools, emotional insight, direct guidance, and the conversations that most people are too afraid to have openly just around blended families, relationships, parenting, co-parenting, boundaries, resentment, identity, and of course, emotional well-being. This is not a sugar-coated version of blended family life. This is the real version, the emotionally honest version, the version where we stop pretending that love alone fixes everything and we actually start talking about the psychology, emotional patterns, and behaviors that are quietly destroying relationships and homes behind closed doors. So please make sure that you are hitting that follow button on Spotify or subscribing on YouTube so you do not miss weekly episodes. And as always, please leave a rating, leave me a comment, and share this with someone who you know who needs just to hear a conversation like this, because that really helps me get these combos in the ears of more step parents and blended families who genuinely need the extra support. I'm really grateful that you're here, so thank you again. So let's dive into today's episode. It's a big one. Today we are going to be talking about one of the biggest, I suppose, the biggest reasons that people stay emotionally exhausted, reactive, insecure, and completely consumed inside relationships, blended families, co-parenting dynamics, and to be honest, parenting itself. And it's this: you think everything is about you. Now, before you get defensive, I need you to really listen to what I'm saying, because this is one of the most emotionally transformative things an adult can actually understand, okay? So don't take this personally, all right? Most adults are walking around personalising everybody else's emotions, everyone else's behaviours, reactions, moods, and choices, yeah? So they're not doing this consciously. This is an unconscious action. It's not intentional. So stay with me here. But it is psychologically and emotionally everything becomes self-internalized, if that makes sense. So example, your teen pulls away and suddenly you think they don't respect me. Oh my gosh, they just must not respect me. They don't like me. What am I doing? There's all these big emotions and big stories start playing out. Your partner is frustrated and suddenly your brain goes, oh, I'm failing. They hate me. It's not worth it. I'm moving out. I'm ending the marriage, whatever. Maybe the ex is reactive and now you think, oh, they're attacking me. They hate me. Here we go again. Family court, going to lose the kids, going to do this. Like your mind goes from 0 to 100. Right? 0 to 100 and you're like, fuck, I'm there. Your stepchild is distant and now your nervous system spirals into, they hate me, they don't want to know me, I'm an idiot, I must look like a loser. All of these stories can play out, yeah? Your child prefers the other parent for its season. This is a big one too that a lot of people I work with go through. The kid prefers the other parent for a little while and suddenly your entire identity collapses into, I am not enough. And everything around you becomes evidence. It becomes emotionally loaded and everything becomes really, really personal. And what happens over time is people stop responding to reality and start responding to the stories that they are creating about themselves. And this is why so many adults are emotionally exhausted, because they're trying to regulate their self-worth through the behavior of everybody else around them. And honestly, that is one of the fastest ways to psychologically destroy yourself, destroy your mental health, destroy your ability to self-regulate, because kids are really, technically, they're actually just inconsistent. teens are friggin' mini terrorists, but also emotional. Partners are imperfect. They're human. Your husband, your wife, they're human. Exes are reactive. They can be narcissistic, controlling. People misunderstand you. Sometimes people withdraw. Sometimes people have moods, hormones, seasons, issues. People go through it, right? Like just like you do, people go through it. And if your emotional stability depends on everyone else having perfect behavior around you, like acting 10 out of 10 at all times, you are going to spend your entire life dysregulated. And that is the absolute truth. Your worth cannot be outsourced to unstable sources. And this is the brutal reality a lot of adults avoid because external validation feels so much easier than internal validation. Internal validation is the work. It's an internal knowing that I am safe with me. My worth is internalized with me. It feels easier to blame the ex. It is easier to blame your partner for all your problems. It is easier to blame your teenage stepchild. It's easier to obsess whether your stepchild likes you or doesn't like you. It's easier to constantly seek reassurance from everybody outside of you except for you. Because if you are constantly chasing validation externally, you never actually have to sit with your own insecurity internally because this didn't start. This did not fucking start when you became a step parent. This started when you were a teenager, when you were a child. This primarily started between 0 and 7, our imprint years, where we actually fundamentally create our self-worth. The wound has existed a long time before you became a step parent. So what I need you to consider is the version of you that chases that validation, she or he needs people to choose them to feel secure. He or she needs people to validate them to feel valuable. He or she needs people to emotionally regulate around them to feel safe. And when that doesn't happen, he or she spirals. Now, here is the problem with that. The second your identity becomes dependent on external validation, you become emotionally fragile. Everything starts affecting you. Great example, a delayed text, someone not replying to you, a bad mood, a disagreement, a boundary. Man, like there's so many little things. The shift in energy, your husband's walk changes through the house and suddenly you're like, oh my God, am I getting divorced? A teenager who is dying for independence but isn't quite ready yet, or they're being difficult. The ex is being a pain in the ass, just being annoying and lazy, like whatever the thing is, right? Everything starts feeling emotionally threatening because internally you're unstable, right? Your nervous system is unstable. Your internal knowing is unstable. And this is why some adults are constantly emotionally reactive because they're not responding from grounded. Hear me when I say this very freaking clearly. They are not responding from grounded identity. They are responding from wounded identity. That means every single disagreement feels like rejection. Every single criticism feels humiliating. The emotional shifts, they're threatening on the nervous system. Every boundary feels like abandonment. And now suddenly, normal human behavior becomes emotionally catastrophic. And honestly, this is one of the biggest issues that I continue to see inside blended families, specifically because blended family dynamics expose emotional insecurity so quickly. So quickly. It's like I'm holding a mirror up, right, at all of the things that you haven't dealt with yet. That's how I perceive it. And why, may you ask? Because blended families naturally contain more emotional complexity. It's all of the things that you have avoided dealing with are coming to the surface. There's more relationships in the dynamic. There's more moving parts. There's more emotional variables happening when there's more than one child or adult or parent. More opportunities for rejection, that means more opportunities for insecurity, more opportunities for comparison, more opportunities to feel fucking excluded. Like all your little girl or little boy wounds, they're coming right up to the forefront. Let me promise you that. And insecure adults struggle enormously inside emotional complex systems because they're constantly scanning for emotional meaning. So let's unpack that a little bit. The step parent might start thinking the kids don't accept me. The biological parent might think my kids are pulling away from me. The partner might think I'm always second. There's so many little processes and thoughts and stories that can be created in a blended family system when you have a bunch of leaky adults. And I say that with so much love and compassion. But everybody becomes obsessed with what everybody else thinks about them. They start to think that they're the main fucking character. And by they, I mean you. And meanwhile, nobody is focusing on becoming emotionally grounded. Nobody is focusing on becoming internally secure. Nobody's regulating themselves. No one's doing the nervous system work. No one's putting themselves and their needs and their boundaries first. Everybody's trying to extract emotional certainty from everybody else. And that just creates, oh my God, that just creates emotional chaos. Now, let me tell you something that might actually upset some people. Your child's emotions are not about you. Your teenager's withdrawal, it's not about you. Your partner having a bad day, it's not about you. Are you guys catching my drift? Your ex being a reactive crackhead some of the time, not always about you. And honestly, one of the most emotionally mature things an adult can learn is this. Everybody else is living inside their own psychological reality too. People are reacting from their own wounds, their own fears, their own stress, their own trauma. They're reacting from their own nervous system dysregulation, their own insecurities, their own experiences. There is so much that is happening around you that isn't actually about you. But emotionally immature adults make themselves the center of every emotional experience around them. And that, here's the little loop and pattern, that creates victim mentality. Because now life constantly feels like it's a personal attack, right? Everything feels loaded. Everything feels emotionally threatening. Everything feels like it's evidence of who you are, because you continue to create meaning about it. And honestly, this is why some adults cannot emotionally relax. They are hyper analyzing everything constantly. Every facial expression, every delayed response. I mean, I've been doing that since I was a little kid because I had a dad who I needed to hyper analyze so I could know what mood I was going to get. So naturally, I do this within my blended family. I analyze the shift in tone, emotional fluctuation, and every interaction, constantly scanning for emotional danger. And this is where it really fucked me up. And I don't do this consistently anymore, but it is something I have to pick myself up on. Because if I don't pick myself up on it, I catch myself in it. And that is so dysregulating. That is so dysregulating. And then that projects onto other areas of my life and on my kids and on my husband and on my happiness and my emotional well-being. A lot of parents also unconsciously rely on their kids to validate them emotionally. And oh my God, I could probably speak in a whole other podcast episode about this because this bit really grinds my gears. And people hate hearing that because they immediately think it means that they're a bad parent. And I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you're a bad parent. No. But it does mean you're emotionally dependent. And if that pisses you off to hear it, then it's true for you. Let me make that very clear. If that pissed you off and you're like, oh my God, that's so rude. No. Well, lean into that. Yes, there is a difference. Some parents need the child to be happy in order to feel like a good parent. Some parents need their child to choose them in order to feel secure within themselves. Some parents need constant emotional closeness in order to feel valuable. When a child naturally fluctuates that, like goes up and down with that, the parent can spiral. Why? Because they're attached to the identity of their child's behavior. So that becomes particularly emotionally dangerous, guys. Your child is not responsible for stabilizing your self-worth. Your teenager is not responsible for making you feel chosen. And honestly, this is where many parents unintentionally create emotional pressure for their kids, because children can feel emotional dependency. Children know when a parent emotionally needs something from them. Like, it's abundantly obvious, especially little ones, but teenagers really do feel it because they are so sensitive. And teenagers are developmentally supposed to separate psychologically, and they are supposed to naturally become more friendship and social network focused. And they are supposed to go up and down, right? Like when you find that they're pulling away one day and getting close to the next, they're supposed to do that. They're supposed to be emotionally fluctuating through teenage life. It's not rejection. That is their development. And I'm finding so many step-parents that I'm working with are taking this as a personal attack. But it's actually about, that's about you. That's not about them. That is their development. And an insecure adult will personalize developmental behavior. And now normal teenage separation becomes, they don't love me anymore. But that's not it. That's not what it's about. That's not what they're doing. They are growing. They are growing with their independence and their ability to network and connect, and things are happening outside of you. And honestly, some parents make their kids emotionally responsible for their wounds that a child never created. Now, let's digress a little bit to talk about the ex-partners, because this is another huge piece of the puzzle. So many people are still emotionally controlled by their ex years after separation, and they think it's because the ex is difficult, right? That's what we will say. And sometimes they are, for sure. Sometimes they are just painful human beings. But often the real issue is unresolved identity wounds. You are still emotionally seeking validation from somebody who no longer holds the role of validating you. Let that land. You are still emotionally seeking validation from someone who no longer holds the role of validating you. You still want them to understand you. You want them to acknowledge your part. You want them to respect you. You want them to see your value. And every single time they criticize you, reject you, withdraw, or react, it hits identity wounds. Now the nervous system, your nervous system, spirals. And now you become angry, reactive, obsessive, defensive. All of the big feelings come out to play, that monster part of you coming out to play. And honestly, some people stay emotionally stuck after separation for 10, 12 years because psychologically they are still seeking closure through validation. You want them to one day finally understand you. You want them to realize what they've lost. One day they'll respect me. One day they'll be thankful for everything I've done. One day they will apologize because I've done it all. And man, the list could just go on. And until then, you would stay emotionally hooked, right? On chasing that validation. Now, let me be very clear. This does not mean that people can't hurt you. This does not mean that difficult behavior is not still painful. And this doesn't mean toxic dynamics are acceptable. What I am trying to get across and what I'm trying to say in today's episode is this. Your emotional stability cannot depend on another person finally validating your worth. Because some people never will. That's not their job. And if your healing is dependent on another person changing, apologizing, validating, or acknowledging you, you are handing your emotional well-being to somebody else. And that, my friends, that ain't power. Let me be clear. That ain't fucking power. That is dependency. And that's going to ruffle some feathers, because I know you don't want to hear that you're dependent on your ex. But if that sounds like you, then you are. And this is where the internal work begins. Because one of the most powerful shifts an adult can make is moving from external validation to internal stability. It honestly changes everything. You feel unbreakable. I'll be honest, you feel unbreakable because you don't need anyone outside of you to tell you you're enough. You know you are. And now you stop chasing emotional certainty through other people as well. You stop trying to control everybody's perception of you because you no longer care what they think or feel about you because you know who you are. You stop needing everyone to understand you and collapsing every time someone doesn't like you. Like, for me, if someone don't like me, and cool. And it's so low on my importance and relevance list. Actually, don't even think it makes the list. You become calmer, more stable, more emotionally mature, more regulated. And that is where your peace starts. That's where your peace is missing. That's where you need to come back to you and back to your internal worth, not simply because it's the right thing to do for your family. You can stop projecting, you can stop holding negative energy in your family, but so you can find some peace. So peace within you. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of the Step Parent Podcast. I'm so grateful that you are here. If this episode landed for you, please drop a comment or send me a DM. I would love to know what you've taken from today's episode. And as always, if you're not following the podcast on Spotify, please make sure that you hit follow or subscribe to YouTube. I am just so grateful that you're here, and I can't wait to bring you more conversations just like this one. I will see you guys next week. Bye.